on it. He must have cut Life Bane Zombie for something. He has probably talked about it, but the deck has very powerful Disciples and Dross Messengers because of the Restoration Angel, along with the sweet ability to have your Desecration Demon be tapped and then Angel block.
Yeah, that's one of the interactions we haven't seen come up on camera, although we thought we were about to see it. At one point he did have the Angel, but his opponent never attacked, so he just flashed it in and had an Angel. But his opponent, Van Nguyen, we saw him earlier on camera. He is playing Jund. Now, I'm not sure if Van has any idea what he's in for against BBD here. I know BBD is well aware of Jund being a deck in the format, and he, in fact, dispatched a friend of mine last round also playing Jund.
Yeah.
How do you feel like this matchup fares for either player?
I think it's very close. These are extremely close matchups. The issue that I have for BBD is he has to be the beatdown, because on the Jund side, they have the trumps. They have the Garriks and the Rakdos returns, so you can't play a Drago game against a Jund deck where you could, kill a creature, I play creature, you play creature, you kill mine, I kill yours.
Right.
That just doesn't work. BBD is going to have to find the resource that he can exploit and just use it. And oftentimes that is just getting Dross Messengers and Obsidots and Desecration Demons on the board and just going beat down. The games will go long. We will see an exciting match. The only way that doesn't happen is if Van has a bunch of Farseeks and Rakdos returns.
Right, just ramps right in. I mean, Rakdos returns pretty good against anybody with cards in their hand. So if Ryan doesn't have enough pressure on the board and gets Rakdos returned, he's going to be in more trouble than he'd like to be in. So we're underway. Turn 1, Godless Shrine. Both players on 6 cards here.
But that's great for BBD already, because BBD does run 4 Silent Bloods, which just gets him right back into the game, lets him hit his land drops, whereas Van only has the Farseeks, where you just get the extra ramp, but when you down cards in a control matchup, it's not the greatest thing in the world.
So BBD does have a turn 2 Sign in Blood. He is on the play in this match, or this game. And we've got a turn 2 Scavenging Ooze from Van.
I don't think that Ooze is going to be... Oh, wow. He missed his third land drop, so...
Even after a Sign in Blood, unable to find a third land. So Scavenging Ooze is going to come over for 2. Victim of Night is going to deal with that before it does any damage.
Yeah, can't think of any funny pun for Victim of Night, so we'll just go to second main phase. Brian draws for the turn. And misses a land drop again.
Yeah, so Van has hit his third land drop, finds his fourth land drop, or does have his fourth land drop, and a Huntmaster of the Fells. So looking a little bit rough for BBD here.
Yeah, BBD really needed to hit that land to be able to get his Liliana going before this happens, because now his Liliana cannot get past the full Huntmaster. So he's going to have to find other ways to deal with it. It's sometimes very difficult to come back from behind, especially since Van does have a Thratos and another Huntmaster. So yeah, he's just used his Liliana to sacrifice the wolf, and now he just loses.
Yeah, Huntmaster's going to kill Liliana, or actually Bonfire could do it. So Van miracles the Bonfire, takes out the Planeswalker, and has his Huntmaster free to attack BBD here.
Yeah, missing 1 point, but it's not the biggest deal in the world. BBD is going to get untapped, and the reason he didn't want to play the other Huntmaster is he doesn't want to walk right into Mutilate.
Right. Which is quite the possibility. Brian has found his 4th land.
Guess what it is?
It's an Orzhov Guildgate.
Oh no, the tweets will be coming if this loses him the game.
But yeah, I mean, it's the namesake of the deck. It's obviously the most powerful card of the deck.
It's not the namesake of the deck. It's what BBD chooses to make the namesake of the deck.
That's what I mean. I mean, it's his deck, right? I mean, nobody else is playing this. There you have the Orzhov Guildgate. Van is in some trouble now. And
all right, so he's going to just Tragic Slip the Huntmaster. That's not a great place to be. Just so it doesn't flip and keeps his life total high.
So Huntmaster comes over for 2. Yeah, that was just a Tragic Slip spent to keep Ravager of the Fells from being a thing. And Van is going to play that Thragtusk.
This would definitely make me think that my opponent has a Mutilate in his hand, trying to stop it from flipping out of its range.
Right. Yeah, right now, is it just 2 swamps? Looks like...
yes, it's a Godless Shrine and a
Shrine,
swamp.
and then the other's Isolated Chapel. He's got all 3 blue-white dual lands. Finds a 5th land, plays Obsidat.
Yep, and now what BBD is going to try to do with Obsidat is, as long as it can live, he's just going to use it as Drain 2 for the rest of the game and try to now make sure that the rest of the game works out by just killing all the creatures. That's why you see him use that as his option, because the earlier you get the Abzan into play, the more value you're going to get out of it.
Yeah, there's just those drains every turn.
Mm-hmm.
So you saw there just the initial drain, and then every turn thereafter, as long as Brian doesn't miss any of the triggers.
Yeah.
So Van here has a Thragtusk and a Huntmaster of the Fells and 5 lands. He's going to swing in with both of the creatures. No access to Kessig Wolf Run just yet. He has 2 in the deck.
Is that a Pillar of Flame in his hand? What
Don't
card is
believe
in
so.
his hand?
I'll take a look when I get a better look, but I didn't see it. So he's going to play a Huntmaster of the Fells. Number 2 brings along a wolf. And no, his hand is Bonfire.
It is Bonfire?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's Dreadbore, Bonfire, and I think another Scavenging Ooze.
Just making sure, because I see it in his sideboard. I didn't see it in his main.
Yeah, that would have been unfortunate for him. But yeah, that looks like a Bonfire to me. I'm almost 100% sure.
All right, so this is a great turn if you had a Mutilate. All of Van's creatures would die and
Yeah.
he'd still keep his Obsidat.
But Obsidat does come in and drain for 2, and he's going to attack. Wolf is going to jump in the way.
Yeah, that's an interesting block. I mean, I don't think Van's life total is that much of a risk, but BBD's is. But he does know that Brian's hand is probably just removal, and it might be a Mutilate in hand, and he wanted to try to get some more damage through.
Sure. So Brian says, "End my turn. Phase out the Obsidat." That was an odd little.
Oh, and so a lot of people might be questioning why BBD did it this way, by letting the Obsidat go away and not just blinking it, getting the extra 2, and then letting it remove.
I am wondering.
It is playing around Tragic Slip. It is. I have Tragic Slip protection from, and I would much rather have the Obsidat live than the Restoration Angel. But I do think that if he had Slip, he's dead anyway. And yeah, I think he's just dead anyway, since he could just Slip, attack for 9, and then flip his Huntmasters. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
if BBD had a really high life total, I could see that play being a lot smoother.
Yeah.
But currently, I think, yeah, he could have just blinked it out another time and then removed it from the game.
Yeah, very interesting. I wasn't even considering this Tragic Slip. So Dreadbore from Van, he does actually have a Tragic
Yeah, he
Slip.
just ripped it, yeah.
Off the top. Yeah. So he didn't have it when BBD was playing around it anyway. It's going to crash in for 9 here. It's going to knock Brian to 2. It's going to be 4 as soon as Obsidat comes back, presuming Van doesn't do 2 more damage somehow here.
All right.
And he doesn't, so BBD goes up to 4 with that Obsidat. He's in really big trouble at this
He
point.
just ripped a Mutilate.
Well, never mind. Scratch that.
Yeah, if he had another removal spell for the Thragtusk, he could just clear the board. But as it stands, I think BBD's only out is to Mutilate, hold his up.
And keep. Oh, this is interesting. That is not something
I don't know if we have life totals right, or BBD is just a master, because I don't even know what's going on. That is impressive. I want to know how this. Does he have another Slip? Is that the card he's saying? He's going to Mutilate Slip?
I mean, that must. I bet you he has Slip here because there. I mean, it doesn't make any other sense. He does know from the last turn he did this exact same thing, attacked with the Obsidat, and his opponent blocked. Maybe he figures Van really wants to protect his life total, so he will block with the use, and that, not that really matters. But either way, it looks like Van has taken the 5.
Yeah.
If Brian has Mutilate Slip, that would be pretty ideal here.
I don't think that is the case. I think if that was the case, I think you'd have Mutilated attack for 2 and slipped, or slipped and then attack for 2, because then it would have killed the Obsidat, and he wouldn't want to lose that.
Oh, right, because of the block, right.
I feel like BBD might just have the game lost, but he's looking at the whole picture, and he just wants to see what Van does in every situation.
Yeah, that's a good
Make him
good
work
point.
on every
Get the information.
And these tournaments are long, and I know people say, like, you don't want to exhaust yourself, but I know BBD is somebody that grinds all the time. He works 8 hours, plays 8 hours, goes to sleep. Probably plays 10 hours, goes to sleep for like 5. So he's used to these long days. He wants to play every single second of every game.
So he's considering his options now. I'm pretty sure he drew the Mutilate, which I think you agree. You thought you saw the Mutilate as well, and we're going to see it here, I'm pretty sure. He's also got a Desecration Demon, I think. Not that that's an ideal play here. If you got the Mutilate, you Mutilate. But trying to determine what else may be in BBD's hand.
Yeah, he's going to end up mutilating, and if he doesn't have the removal spell, Van's Bonfire is going to finish the game off. And so this is going to be for 3, making Van lose all of his creatures, except he will get the trigger from the Thrag Tusk.
See, the Scavenging Ooze is going to activate quickly before it goes to the graveyard to gain Van 1 life. And as you mentioned, just a beast left. He puts a random thing there that I didn't forget the trigger. I'm going to get a real
Todd
beast.
Anderson.
Yeah. And we see Todd. The beast. So yeah, like you mentioned, no tragic slip, and Bonfire for 1 will close out the first game here in round 9 of the StarCityGames.com Standard Open.
Yeah, BBD has to be a little rattled just from having the Sign in Blood, both players mulligan, and just not getting those land drops. And the deck does run a high number of lands. It's actually sitting at 25, so. It's a perfect number to, make your 3rd land drop in the top 9.
Yeah, you should probably be able to hit it. And he actually kind of came back nicely there. If it weren't for, 1 Bonfire there, I think, he could have maybe got back into the game.
He was 1 turn behind for the entire game, and it was close. But he does have a great sideboard for this matchup. His game plan now is going to be generally the same, but he's going to get some of the more weak removal spells out of his deck in favor for cards like Underworld Connections, even another Liliana of the Veil. He might be bringing in Pie the Needle. I don't know exactly what he's playing Pie the Needle against. It could be against Aetherling specifically, but there's so many targets in Van's deck for a Pie the Needle, and those are the cards that trump the matchup. Garrick and Quetzalcoatl and Olivia are some of the bigger cards that Van could have.
Right.
And if you eliminate one of those, that's the problem at the moment. His deck isn't going to be doing half as well as normally, so he's probably going to be bringing in those as well as the connections to just gain card advantage. But I don't see the Tusks. I know he's black-white, and I feel like the Tusks really help those Underworld Connections out.
Yeah, certainly. Just 3/5 cards.
Yeah, and that's exactly what's going to be happening on Van's side. He's got some connections and some dresses in his sideboard. A couple Liliana the Veils, which are always very good in these against these Mutilate mid-range decks. As well as this Rurikthar that, I'd probably be bringing in. I think that Rurikthar is pretty sweet. And a Primeval Bounty. So I think if this game goes long, we're going to get to see some things in Standard we haven't seen in a very long time.
I would love to see a Rurikthar in play.
I want to see a Primeval Bounty against Underworld Connections. That's really what I want to see. BBD fighting with Obsidian and Underworld Connections against the top deck of Vaughn and Primeval Bounty.
That would be quite a sight.
And then we have one more round, and I won't be in the top 8 of this. I was in the top 8 last time in Baltimore, which is sad, but I know you guys will be giving away some stuff too, right?
We will be giving away some premium, as always. We'll ask you guys a trivia question. We'll give away 3 months of premium tonight in the quarterfinals, and then tomorrow in the semis we'll give away 6 months, and in the finals we'll give away a year, and we'll do that again in the Legacy Open tomorrow night, which you'll be in the top 8.
Yes, and I still have, let me make sure, I still do believe that I have my free month of premium that you get for entering these events. And I do, and you know what? The first person that in real life comes up to me and says, "Control sucks," I will give them a month of premium. That is my...
That's interesting.
That's my content. So,
why Control sucks? I'm hurt.
Just say Blue-White Control sucks. And
Blue-White now, even worse. You weren't even talking about Mono Black or something.
Control is dead. Any of these work.
I don't know. Have you seen some of the decks that have been every time Blue-White's been on camera, it's won.
I lost to it today too.
And you lost to it. That's why you're just bitter.
I am. But
bitter Bradley.
We see these top 8s happen, and there's not much blue in them.
You're right. It's funny. I said to.
You have the Zurius pin on.
I do. I have the Zurius pin on. You just trolling.
I know. I didn't see that.
You can't be shocked. You know my Twitter handle.
Yeah, that's true.
So, anyway, I was saying to Cedric that my prediction for the weekend was blue-white was going to do well, and then I was like, that's a ridiculous prediction, so I'm not actually going to say it. I think it's more wishful thinking, and now it has done well on camera so far. I don't know, it may not end up in the top 8 at all. Who knows? All those players may not make it, but I'm happy to see it in the room anyway.
All right, well, these players are getting their opening hands. I see at least 2 lands for BBD, and we'll see if both players are going to keep their 7s.
Van doesn't look happy with his, and he's immediately going to Paris.
Yep. No, he's going to 6.
Oh, he's going to 6. Yes. Paris. You have fond memories of Paris.
I do. I do. I did terrible in a Grand Prix.
Was that same weekend?
Yeah.
Gee, what a bad weekend.
It was horrible.
Yeah, I bet.
But so when's your next event?
My next event to cover is actually the Invitational in October. So that's quite a while, but I'm so looking forward to it because, one, it's an Invitational.
Yes.
Those are always a blast. 3 days. And we'll have Theros slots. Theros will be 1 month deep into Theros. And I just can't wait to see what's
it's going to be great. I mean, it's happening right after the PT, so all the information coming from the Pro Tour.
Yeah.
You're going to get another Grand Prix that week. Those 3 weeks, I'm looking so forward to. I get a standard Pro Tour, a standard Grand Prix, and a standard / Legacy Invitational.
Does it go Grand Prix, Pro Tour, Invitational?
Pro Tour, Grand Prix, Invitational.
Pro Tour, okay. That's so awesome.
Yeah, so we're going to have a metagame for the Invitational, and I'm going to be able to manipulate it. Yeah,
with overgrown tunes?
Well, yeah, they won't rotate.
That's right. You won't be able to play like, what is it, Woodland Cemetery?
Yeah.
But, and unfortunately no Glacial Fortress for me, I guess. So weird. You know, those core set duels have been in every core set since, since what, M10, right?
Yeah.
And suddenly they're not there, and, they haven't rotated yet, but that feels so weird.
I, for one, am happy. I like basic lands. I own way too many unhinged lands to not play with them. Anyway,
I do love
we're on turn 2. No Sign and Blood from BBD. But as you can see over on Ben's side, he does have the Farseek, and that's exactly what a Jund deck wants to do on turn 2.
Yeah.
When I play test this deck, I never get the turn 2 Farseek.
Yeah, I tried Jund myself, and I was cursing the fact that I couldn't think twice into mana.
Yeah.
I was not hitting the turn 2 Farseek. But, look at that.
I already gave away my premium.
There we go.
His friends are nice to him.
There you go. So, we have a Control Sucks from the Peanut Gallery, I suppose.
All right, so
BBD hits his 3rd land drop. That's already good news for him, and he's got a Duress for Van.
One turn too late for the card that really mattered, but he is going to be able to get one of these removal spells out of here. And know that he does have 2 Thratus to deal with, but they aren't going to be coming down next turn. So he has 1 more turn to get a setup creature into play, preferably, hopefully, if it's a Desecration Demon.
Mizium Mortars is the choice there from BBD to steal with the Duress. Well, not steal, but get rid of.
And now we're going to untap into a 5th land. So we're just going to have to wait 1 more turn to get those Thratus online. And I do believe that BBD's deck does have 4 Spears, but I don't know if they're in hand.
All right, there's that Overgrown Tomb. Comes into play untapped. Van takes 2, gains 5 here from the Thragtusk, and Restoration Angel, end of turn from BBD.
Just a Restoration beatdown. Alright, so BBD is probably going to start getting aggressive with this Restoration Angel, just trying to get Van's life total a little bit lower.
After knocking back to 20 here, the Restoration Angel.
And there's his demon.
Desecration Demon. This card has seen so much action on the camera today.
That was a very good top deck by Van. He did hit the Garrick. Now that's one of the trump cards in this matchup, and why these mid-range decks struggle against Jund. He has the potential of just drawing 5 cards right now if he chooses to. It might be safer to just get both Thratus into play because they're probably going to live, especially since if you look at BBD's mana base, it's like mono isolated chapels, so he couldn't mutilate. Oh wow! All right, Duress number 2 is going to get that Garrick out of his hand.
That's big for BBD.
Yeah, he's not going to be able to say Garrick fast enough.
So he leaves Van with a Bonfire and an Abrupt Decay. Abrupt Decay currently with no targets.
All right.
And Desecration Demon gets tapped by a sacrificed Thragtusk.
Yeah, all right, so that's going to tap the Desecration Demon, and it's going to let Van get aggressive with that other Thrag Tusk potentially. Beauty's going to take this opportunity to just get some creatures off the board and use that Tragic Slip.
Yeah. Now that Morbid has been triggered, oh, actually, he's going to go ahead and Doomblade the other Thrag Tusk. And does he have Tragic Slip?
Yes.
Tragic Slip, as I almost said. And yeah, deals with the other beast. And Van started last turn with 2 Thrag Tusks in play. Now is left with a single beast.
And a lot of people might be questioning why he Doombladed there. That's again playing around Van's Tragic Slips. BBD is very aware that the only way now that Van can get that Tragic Slip online is if he bends his 3/3 creature and just jump attacks. But now if he waited with the Tragic Slip and Doomblade, if Van rips a Tragic Slip, he can kill the Desecration Demon for quote-unquote free.
Right.
BBD playing very tight right now. Now he even is going to be able to get in for 7.
Yeah, he says combat. Van says, all right, bring it. And he takes quite a big chunk there. What is that? 10, right? Yeah, it goes down to 15. BBD plays his 5th land.
And knows the 2 cards in his opponent's hand. And like Bonfire is a little bit out of range for that Desecration Demon right now.
BBD looked like he wanted to cast something for 3 there. It could have been
He just wants to play spells.
Liliana, could have been Underworld Connections, but he passes the turn here. Potentially representing another Restoration Angel. You think we're going to see? No.
No, I think with such a low number, you have to like kind of play around him. Van did just draw a Putrefy, but it's very scary in these board states because what if BBD has another Resto, and maybe he's just protecting his demon right now.
We're going to find out right now as BBD swings in with both guys and a Putrefy targets the demon, and it resolves. So demon is putrefied. Van is going to take a hit from that angel.
And play an Obsidat.
And an Obsidat follows post-combat. Quick drain there.
I definitely, I like the fact that BBD is not putting a dice on top of his deck. I miss very few triggers, but the one I'm scared most of is not bringing my Obsidat back. I will put my cell phone on top of my deck if they'd let me. Obsidat comes back, dropping in Van to 8, BBD all the way up to 16. And this game is looking very good, but the problem is Van is playing Jund, so like he could rip out of this potentially. A lot of his removal spells in hand aren't really doing anything, even though Abrupt Decay is pretty good at dealing with Underworld Connections and Oblivion Rings. It's not going to beat up on an Obsidat.
So Obsidat and Angel swing in, and Van says, all right,
I've seen enough.
Yeah. So you just touched on something. You kind of mentioned that in your article about some of the strengths of the Jund deck, how it can just top deck out of these situations. Even when it looks grim for Jund, they've got such powerful cards.
Yes, and they have a ton of powerful cards, and the great thing is they don't have a ton of synergy, and a lot of people would look at that and say that's a bad thing, but it's a great thing when the format is so efficient at killing creatures. The synergies like are really, dominant in like Junk Aristocrat style decks, but I have many times top deck wars against Jund where I'm drawing a Doom Traveler or a Blood Artist with no board, and they're drawing Thrag Tusk Olivia, and that's a great thing about Van's deck, and I think this game was a little bit of an oddity for the matchup. There was not a lot of card advantage. I think if Van ended up playing the Garruk and just drawing 5, which is, I don't think there's ever a time in a mid-range matchup where you don't just draw 5 cards. You can catch up. That's the thing. You can always catch up. But just getting the cards, and we'll see Brian do that. Even if the board's a little bad for him, if he has the open opportunity to just sacrifice the demon and draw 6 cards, he's going to do it. It's just going to happen.
It's very Sphinx's Revelation like in this particular deck with the Disciple of Bolas.
It is, but so the thing about Sphinx's Revelation is you have to make sure that the board is controllable. You can't just take a ton of damage and then red.
Right.
Whereas in this matchup, it's very easy to catch up against an opponent that doesn't have a lot of resources because both decks have so many removal spells. So like if you're just on the card advantage and they're on the beatdown, their hand oftentimes is dead until you start playing your own creatures. So you don't have to worry about a constant stream of pressure. So getting that card advantage in is really good. And as we've seen, BBD only presented Van with 3 different threats. So if he just drew 5 and instead of playing that second Thrake Tusk, he might have been able, when BBD was tapped out, he might have been able to just steamroll.
Now you mentioned something actually, we were outside before the round and you were talking to somebody who was playing a junk list, presumably.
Junk Reanimator.
Junk Reanimator.
Yep.
And you mentioned something I thought was interesting. You were saying versus Jund, you typically board out all of your Restoration Angels because the way to defeat Jund is to pull it in different directions.
Oh, yeah.
And when you're playing Restoration Angel, you're just blinking a creature that already is there, so you're kind of just you're fighting on one axis.
Yes.
Restoration Angel is just kind of repeating something you've already got.
Yeah.
And how do you think does that apply here? You see Brian's got 4 copies of Restoration Angel in his deck. He's playing against Jund. Do you feel like
it doesn't do the same thing in this matchup, mostly because BBD's Restoration Angels are there to protect his creatures.
Okay.
Whereas in Junk Reanimator, you don't have to protect your creatures because you get to Unbearer rights them.
Okay.
And when the Restoration Angels in that deck are a little bit more unique because they are constantly copying come into play abilities, whereas Brian's are just efficient creatures that can reset messengers, untap Desecration Demons after they tap them when they're aggressive, protect your Obsidots, they even blink your Disciple. They're doing a couple different things, whereas the Restoration Angels out of Reanimator are always constantly doing the same resource.
Okay.
I mean, and a lot of people say like Standard is bad or like that we're seeing the same things, but like just saying that makes me like, I never really thought about it that way, but like the same card in the same matchup is totally different between the decks that it's played in. And I think like that is really sweet about this format is there is a ton of play, even though there is just a lot of games where they just feel anticlimactic because my opponent just ripped on me.
Yeah. And it's interesting, I mean, you think about what other decks play Restoration Angel, and you look at the blue-white decks that are doing pretty well, blue-white flash, blue-white red flash, and Restoration Angel there a lot of times is just surprise blocker or blink and augur, right? Like that's, and then some, once the board's controlled, start using it as a win condition.
We can look at it the other way and say, all right, show me all the angles of Thunder, my Hellkite. Tell me what it does different in all those decks.
Well, Restoration Angel is a very
unique
tricky card, yeah, it is unique, and that, I mean, the fact that, right when it was first spoiled, people were like, this is an interesting card. The flash and the momentary blink ability together kind of gives it a lot of depth.
All right, well, we're seeing BBD in a great position. Van is mulliganing to 6. BBD is going to keep his hand. Now, I don't know, like, the funny thing about this deck is when I play these Mutilate archetypes, I'm very aggressive with my mulliganing because when I'm on the draw, not only do I have Sign and Bloods that I can redraw into and then just get back up 7, but you can't cast a Sign and Blood on curve, so it's usually sitting in your hand dead for a while. And it's bad logic, I understand. It's really reverse logic to mulligan in an average hand, but I tend to be a little bit more aggressive knowing for the fact that like I have this live 3 or 4 of that just gets me out of a lot of bad situations in the early game. So I've been very aggressive with my mulligans, but when your opponent's mulligan, if Brian has a duress and a couple lands, it's going to be a great place to be.
Yeah, mulliganing is something that I think a lot of players disagree on, how, what they would mulligan. I think that's one of the more interesting aspects, I think, of the game. How would you would you mulligan this hand? You see discussions on Twitter all the time. Here's my hand. Would you mulligan this? Screenshots from Magic Online, things like that. And, so it's interesting to hear, you're saying with this kind of deck, you would mulligan more aggressively because of just the presence of Sign and Blood?
Just because you have it and
Mutilate, did you say?
The Mutilate style decks, because there's multiple different ones. Yeah, I agree. I think you can mulligan a little bit more aggressive with this deck, but I do believe that you should always mulligan now. Like, if someone has a debate, just do it, because it usually means your hand is flawed and the games don't last long enough. Here is do you have a Farseek?
Wow, no Farseek. We see Liliana, Putrefy. I'm so used to Grizzly Salvage. That's not Grizzly Salvage.
Well, it will be soon, because the guy from Putrefy is on Grizzly Salvage, the new one.
That's right. And then Bonfire, Rootbound Crag, and a Swamp. So
Liliana is one of the toughest cards for black-green mid-range to deal with, but it might not be on Brian's problem list because he might have an Oblivion Ring. Who knows? He might have a Messenger.
I believe he has Liliana of his own, but thanks to the new rules, that just means they both have Liliana.
Yeah, I think the new Legend rule is really sweet, except for when it's the Lily Mare. It's really awkward.
Like, you discard and I discard. All right, you discard and I discard. It's very, very strange.
we're going to see a Scavenging Ooze here get eaten up by that said Liliana if BBD has his third land.
Duress does take Van's. Oh, jeez, again. So
we might have a game.
Scavenging Ooze is going to capitalize on BBD's missed land drop and get in for 2. And we see a Farseek. Van has found it in the top couple cards.
Oh man, that's a little disheartening. Like seeing where Van was on turn 1 compared to where you are on turn 1, and then this is what the board looks like. One of the things for Jund players out there that I would just suggest, I don't think I like Bonfire in this matchup. It's definitely one of the cards that can sometimes just be amazing, but it doesn't match up well against a lot of Brian's threats, so it's mostly just a fireball. And there's
not a land.
Another Restoration Angel off the top, it looks like, or is that...
I believe it was another. Oh, it's a Pithing Needle. I thought it looked like a Restoration Angel too, so maybe just because it's kind of that light color. But yeah, this is rough for BBD. Does he have 8 cards in hand? Looks like, yeah. So he's either going to have to discard or play the Needle, and he's going to play the Needle. And so he could name Garrick here if he wants to really preemptively shut that down. It's not that preemptive considering Van's going to have access to 5 mana next turn.
It's definitely, I mean, the list is probably Garrick or Keswick Wolfron. I think I'd be mostly afraid of Garrick, so I would probably just name that. I don't think Scavenging Ooze is an issue.
And it was Garrick.
He did end up naming Garrick. But he did hit a land, he has all removal, so if BBD hits a swamp,
and he
we're
does.
back in it.
All right, so
we're going to be able to eat the Scavenging Ooze.
Liliana, sacrifice your ooze. And whoa.
He's just so happy he drew a swamp.
Tried to morph Liliana. So Liliana does come down and deal with the Scavenging Ooze. BBD passes the turn.
Draws a Farseek, so I think this turn is going to be Pillar of Flame on Liliana.
And it is.
That does not get removed from the game, because it did actually just target Brian. But.
Right.
I don't know why I still do this, but ever since Planeswalker started, whenever somebody Searing Spears my Planeswalker, I still go like, that's not a legal target.
Right, you have to target me.
I have to do it, yeah.
Better get it right.
All right, and now the demon. I'm pretty sure that the BBD's entire hand is just demons. It's just like demon.
Well, he finds a 4th land, plays that Desecration Demon. He has shut off Garrick, and he seems to be digging back into this game. But you know, as we mentioned, Jund is never dead until it's dead.
That is very true, and we already see 1 Putrefy from Van's hand. If he ever rips a Tragic Slip, he's able to kill the second one. BBD does not have that Plains yet to be able to protect it with his Restoration Angels, but there's a Thrag Tusk, which would put him up to 25.
So Van up to 25, Thrag Tusk versus Desecration Demon. We're going to find out if Van wants to sacrifice the front half.
We hit the best white source he could have drawn.
The Isolated Chapel.
That is correct. That does not come into play tapped.
BBD may have preferred Orzhov Guildgate.
He might have just for style points.
Just for style points, yeah.
Might not use that mana anyway.
So you see he does have at least 1 more Desecration Demon. I believe, does he have a pair of Tragic Slips? Is that what that looks like?
And a Duras Messenger.
Okay.
So we're going to see if Van's going to take this 6.
Yeah, so he says that's fine, bring it. Demon swings, knocks Van to 19. Demon number 2. And yeah, he's going to leave up a single swamp. Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't. He's not going to condemn the Thrag Tusk.
Yeah, I mean, it could potentially be encroaching waste. I don't know. It's just, it is the best play, and BBD does live in a world where he wants to make the 100% correct play every single decision he makes.
Yeah.
Even playing around things that don't really matter.
So Thrag Tusk is going to come over to play, and BBD has the option of taking 5, blocking with the Demon, and potentially losing a Demon to the Tragic Slip that we know. That Van does have Tragic Slip.
But he does know. He knows he has a Bonfire. He knows that he has Putrefy Bonfire, so if he blocked there, sure, Van would lose with Thrag Tusk and get a Beast, but both of BBD's demons would be dead.
Right. So you see Putrefy deals with 1 demon after BBD takes a hit from the Thrag Tusk, and then BBD uses Tragic Slip to take out the front half of that Thrag Tusk. So
yeah, and now BBD's in a commanding position where he has a good clock and a Restoration Angel to the card in Van's hand that he knows is a bonfire, and you can tell these bonfires have not been good the entirety of this match, except for dealing the 1 point of lethal in game 1. They've just been stuck in Van's hand, whereas I think cards like Underworld Connections might have been able to maybe pull a lot of this. But we might just see an Olivia maybe make a presence. I mean, I know that there's another Farseek.
So Wolf's going to come over to attack BBD after BBD smashed in with that demon.
Yeah, I think we're definitely using Restoration Angel.
I'm sorry, that's a beast, not a wolf. 33% bigger, or actually 50% bigger than a wolf.
And he's going to block with the Restoration Angel just so he doesn't get bonfired and lose his demon. It has a bigger clock. Van might just bonfire for 1 here. Or 2, sorry, he can do it for 2.
So Van's hand is Farseek Bonfire. Not super
Funniest
impressive.
thing I just thought about, if he bonfires for 2 and Farseeks, he still has a bonfire on top to win the game.
A bonfire on top could win the game. Yeah.
I mean, that just has to be the play, right? BBD's at 6.
Play to your outs here.
Yeah.
So he's going to go ahead and...
or a Rakdos return. Both cards BBD is going to have to sweat.
So he bonfires there and casts the Farseek, as you mentioned. So BBD at 6 kills off the Angel.
If BBD can gain 2 life points, he can survive any top deck from Van. But as it stands, any Rakdos return, any bonfire wins the game.
Where'd that 3 life come from? He was just at 6.
you just actual correct life total 9. I thought he did lose life where he shouldn't have at 1 point.
Oh, so maybe 9 is the correct life total. So maybe that's what
it was miraculous how he gained life.
Yeah, you were just like, if he
we
could
were
just gain 2 life. Well, how about 3? Bling, there we go.
Yeah.
All right, Geralf's Messenger is going to come down. Now that doesn't drain, or at least it doesn't gain Brian any life.
Yeah.
Okay, these life totals are correct. Sorry about that. So Brian actually at 9 life. Van at 5.
What could it be?
His top deck is Thragtusk.
All right. We continue.
Keep him in the game.
Yeah.
A little bit longer. These players are tied up a game apiece here with just about 12 minutes left in the round. Round 9 of 10 of Standard of the StarCityGames.com Open Series live from Baltimore. And this is a tight one. You said it was going to be pretty close. You said it was going to go long too.
Yeah, that's how these usually play out. I think there tends to be a little bit more card advantage. Maybe that's just not the case. I haven't played it with the black-white style. Maybe there's more card advantage when it comes down to the green-black, since you're both playing Thragtusk. So we haven't seen a lot of card advantage, and maybe that's the reason. Just my inexperience with the matchup. All right, so Demon is going to get tapped.
Yeah, Van's going to protect himself from the Demon using the front half of Thragtusk, but that gives Brian the opportunity to tragically slip the other half of his Thragtusk and swing in with the Geralf's Messenger. So Van now knocked down to 7 and is creatureless.
And here's the time that always sucks as a mid-range player or anyone. It's like if he draws nothing, I win. But if he draws something to get him back out, if I don't play my extra guy, but if I play my extra guy, do I get bonfired?
Yeah, right now Van is dead on board.
He's just going to say go. If Van rips a bonfire here, that's about he's only out after he said just don't play bonfires. But
Yeah.
What do I know?
I wonder if it was a Garrick.
Just going to make him kill him.
So
Yeah, if he did rip the bonfire there, BBD would have gotten to bring his creature back and attack him, dropping him to 1 and sign and blood him, and have the best way to win a game.
Sign in blood.
Yeah.
Love that. So BBD wins his potentially winning in.
Yeah, if it's a hard luck.